Ladies and gents, welcome back to the LCO. We've got a second game to jump on into, and look, behind the scenes, there's been a lot of hard work going on. No one could figure out if there were or were not going to be tiebreakers left, but fortunately, I've got this dare, and all the answers are inside. So I'm going to quickly ask my friend through the mouth.
I thought we were going to whisper.
God, I hope you don't ask for anything else.
I thought we were going to be the dare whisperer.
There is chance of one remaining tie, and that tie, of course, is going to be the bloody bow because there's no tiebreakers left. This is going to be the last day of the round robin before we jump on into the group stage, and to get to the end of it, we've got to get into game 2, of course. That is going to be PGG up against Bliss. This game still has some weight to it. It is going to potentially flip around who's going into what group, who's going to be coming first, who's going to be coming second. And that's all depending on if PGG takes the bloody cake. If they win, they're going to be coming out right first because they got a head-to-head over Direwolves. And if they lose, well, they're going to be sitting pretty in second. But, Kitty, what's the likelihood that Pentanet lose to Bliss today?
Well, the likelihood is very tough to say. I think Bliss has picked up their game since day one, and they have been improving throughout the weeks. But it is insane to me that there is a world where PGG places 4th. This team does not seem like a 4th team. They seem like a top 2 team. But unfortunately, because of head-to-head and we only have one single round robin, they will land on that 4th spot if they lose up against Bliss tonight. But my eyes once again are back onto Dongi and Shernfire. They are so oppressive in these team fights where they just enable Violet to just DPS out of his life.
Yeah, look, Violet, insane performance yesterday up against Direwolves. Definitely, he kept it clean. I think he died one time in the end, but look, had that 700 gold bounty on for ages and played relatively passive compared to what we remember from the past. Rusty, what's your take here on PGG going up against Bliss?
I mean, Pentanet were out team fighting Direwolves, who just out team fought Peace, and so we find ourselves in the situation of just who is going to be better when it comes to the 5v5s. What I can say is that their opponents in Bliss have not been team fighting well.
No.
That is probably the point they need to work on the most, because they've been able to generate leads against every team quite well. They go toe-to-toe with the best teams up until what feels like a point of critical mass where something goes a little bit wrong. When they have leads against the teams below them in the standings, they're doing really well until someone makes a mistake and then it starts to go a little bit awry. And I would love to see a game where Bliss just play their best the entire time so that we can see exactly what they're like. And what I will say for them yesterday is that I think we saw Daystar close to his best. You know, we're starting to see the team work together a little bit better. They're meshing just a little bit more.
You know, Daystar really reminds me of Kisei when he first debuted. He has the mechanical skills and he loves limit testing, but sometimes when you take the 50-50 flip, unfortunately you get solo killed by Dajong Zac mid lane. Yep. And it's just something we like to see from the young players, but it is also a very huge weak point for Team Bliss because they rely on Daystar so much to provide that damage in these team fights.
Well, Skimmy, who's your favourite player on Bliss and who's going to be carrying today? What's your take?
My favourite player is Why Not, because he's a Kiwi, and that's always my go-to answer. Yes, he does a little bit of trolling with his dances at the end, but look, it gets the engagement right up there, so I'm a big fan of that one. Loves to be aggressive. Once again, I guess I just piggyback off Rusty's point, right? That is Team Bliss's mantra. They've shown that they are an incredibly well-drilled team for the early game. What does that mean? They always get heralds. They always get first turrets, first 3 turrets, map control. But it's always when you start to group up for these decisive soul point team fights or these Baron fights, you're thinking it's anybody's game. And given that we've seen a lot of these top teams have a very team fight-centric style, that needs to be certainly the area to focus.
The thing about PGG is there was that one point where they had a very hard to execute comp. You guys were highlighting that yesterday. But then they seem to have gone back to something a little bit easier to execute in terms of their drafting. So that seems to be the key to success for the moment. Focus on the other elements rather than just having to go too crazy on the micro.
Yeah, RP on that rel was so nice to see because we don't see a lot of engaged supports, especially in this current meta where she's Lulu, Yumi, Nami, like you, anyways. But the rel finally was very refreshing to see. His engages in those teamfights were very nice.
I'm sorry, it's just funny because you are an enchanted player.
I know, I don't play League of Legends anymore. There's a reason to that.
There was
Everyone's stealing my champions.
So much disgust
The
when you were saying
attitude
those
was
names.
serious. Yeah, I loved it.
Someone who never makes me disgusted, though, is, of course, my jungle brother, Shernfire, who's been tearing it up on the Via. Mate, How are you feeling after, look, it's been a couple of weeks now playing on stage, playing in the LCO. How are you feeling individually, and how are you happy with the team's performance so far?
I mean, well, first of all, I'd say that I can't say we're happy, but I can't say we're not happy, right? We're still winning, but we are not performing to our own standards, right? We haven't been dominating most of our games, so we have been winning, but we haven't been dominating. So there's still some issues there with snowballing the game.
It's okay, we are going on a 2-week break, so hopefully the team does resolve that issue. But my next question is regarding this jungle meta, because we've seen you on the Vi quite a bit of a one-trick from Shen. So are you happy with this jungle meta? I know it's quite controversial as well.
Honestly, right now, champions don't matter much to me, and I think the team personally. And draft is a little bit less important, just because of the way we're trying to play the game. I heard you guys talking about earlier how we're playing harder to execute comps. It's actually like we're just trying to break the mold, because I think playing in NA, playing in OS, everyone just tries to farm and tries to win that way. And usually the first place teams in OS in the past, including myself, have just tried to play full scaling, which will never work on the international stage. So we're just trying to break the mold.
Okay, so a bit of prep nice and early up against some local teams before you may or may not make it. Of course, you got to beat the PCS teams before you even make it to MSI this time. So, you know, what's your take on Peace? Because they got a couple of those PCS players coming in. You guys didn't get to play them. You got the forfeit win, but you might have to play them in the group stage depending on how this game goes.
I think, like, watching their last game just a couple minutes ago, I think that they have a lot of potential, actually. And they don't seem to kind of have that respect that a lot of, I guess, rookie teams have for, like, more experienced teams. So I think that's already just a positive. And I think the better the competition, the better for us. Because, like you said, to get the MSI right here, we have to verse Peace teams. So, I mean, we have to verse PCS teams, not Peace teams, but yeah.
Love the little plug by you, of course. But talking about rookies, you are going against Team Bliss, and we will give you all our luck. So you will remain, I believe, second, perhaps.
No, if he wins, they're first.
They're first.
Yeah.
Well, you better come first, Shen. I have really high hopes for you because I placed you guys first. Best of luck.
Thank you. Cheers,
Beautiful.
guys.
Kitty, the early believer. Always good to have a quick chat with Shen. Are you all right? What's wrong?
Second, first, fourth, first.
Figure it out eventually. Look, there'll be a leaderboard at the end of the day. Either way, let's see who's picking what side, who's getting counter-pick. And it looks like that's going to be Team Bliss, who want to play on the red side. Are they giving that to Why Not?
Daystar.
That's it. That is true. They've given it to Daystar every time.
Another day,
The
another
Why Not
Daystar.
Why would they change? No
Why
idea.
not Tar?
Why would your prediction change? I don't know, but it could. Bliss, insane, PGG, top of the leaderboard. What's going to happen? Dare fan vote time. Get the points in. They're up there. The button. Click it.
Yeah, how would you ship them? Y star?
Predictions.
Not star?
Are you trying to give them a duo name?
Oh, is that what you're doing?
Day not?
Day not.
Day not sounds
Not
nah,
day.
man.
Night.
Day Y.
Day not B star.
Form.
Why day?
Why not Daystar?
We're all going for PGG
Why
on
not
this
B
page.
Daystar?
Well, you guys have that discussion. On the second page, still going PGG. No one's going for Bliss, who are arguably the underdogs. What are we giving Bliss in terms of, you know, percentage base win chance this game? Is it like a 25, or do you think it's a bit closer to 30?
I think closer to 30.
Yep.
On the premise that both of these teams will be more explosive early, and that causes more issues, right, to hit mid-game. They're both just going to meet early and say someone's winning this.
Yeah.
And
Right
that's
now.
where Bliss are strong. So
3 minutes in. 4 minutes in. Look, we got to see Why
Yeah.
Not doing his thing yesterday. He was on the Sedge. Just didn't want to say the wrong
Sehuani?
S. Yeah, he was on the Sedge, right, getting real aggressive.
What was that again?
Sehuani?
yes, he was.
Tehuani?
Sehuani.
Sehuani,
He
yeah.
was on the Sehuani yesterday. Are we going to see him on a bit more of a carry today?
How do I spell that?
The same way.
It's the same way, you just
It's
pronounce
spelled
it
the same way.
differently.
Something like
We might see the Elise today
like
because
Elise, yeah.
Elias.
We might see the Elias today
Bit of
because
Elise.
that is a champion that is pick or ban in the LCK, even slipping into LPL just a little bit, especially when you find those early carry champions like the Renekton and Silas in that mid lane, which does do well with Sejuani. But, you know, when you do have Elise, it just creates better angles for those dives when you have the Lucian Nami as well.
Sejuani could be picked in Champ Select, and it's ready for game 2. Let's jump in.
I reckon it's time for some Nidalee, actually. I think Why Not needs to bring that one out, showcase the license to deliver some early game fun. Team Bliss.
It's possible.
I mean, it is.
It's possible.
It is. Bliss can open up their account by denying 2 junglers already. Vi and Wukong. Pentner, easy response. There's Ashe, Maokai, as well as Cassandra. Triple jungle bans from Bliss.
So Elise is going to be up. One of the reasons that, of course, it's going to be picked, one of the reasons that perhaps a Nidalee is possible is they locked in faster than I could say it, is Liv's been playing only Renekton, right? So if it comes to a Renekton first 3, you've got a Nidalee 4-5 angle. But hey, what? You know, let's just Rengar. Let's just Rengar instead.
It's a Rengar.
Why not be Rengar?
Okay.
Kate Rengar. Okay, so Kate and Varus, they'll match each other. That's normal. The rest of this is very human. Rengar.
Very human.
Sorry, the League player in me came
I always
out.
love that description.
Not the rest of
These
it.
aliens.
Now, one thing I will also say is that like a Kate Lux duo actually is not too bad when you can just go for cleanse, because there's a little bit less kill threat in general, right? So being able to play Caitlyn, go for the cleanse, Elise, Varus, makes things a little bit easier to play aggressively in your lane. The Rengar itself, I can't speak towards specific reasons why this has just cropped up, other than I know Why Not plays this, right? Like, this is a champion that he's definitely played for a long time. He's very good friends with a European streamer who is an unbelievably good Rengar player. I've seen a couple of their streams together and a couple of YouTube videos. A lot of ADHD Rengar came out of that guy, and I'm sure Why Not has taken that energy in his stride. And obviously it's an assassin. And obviously, the first 3 picks of Pensinet are squishy.
Certainly unleashing the potential for a really explosive game to even try and triumph what we just saw in our prior matchup. Ornn going to come out now from Lived, returning to something a little bit more characteristic, you'd say, of old, as opposed to your lane dominance with champions like the Renekton. This gives them that scaling condition to stay relevant as the game will go on with the likes of those ornaments. PGG's response is Jax without hesitation. Chippy's really feeling himself here to try and get that one. And a set! Such a long time since we've seen set, but it's back.
And it does stand to reason that Dongy will be able to play top lane champions in the middle lane, right? But is the Jax flexible? Are they just going to put the Jax where the Ornn goes? You know what I mean? And just put the set somewhere else? I didn't expect to see a set picked blind outright. But it is something that has good follow-up when it comes to ganks with an Elise. I believe we've been seeing some set mid lane. I think it was the LC Chaos or Faker play it maybe. I can't remember, but that team plays everything ever. As of course, the last pick of Team Bliss will be secured here. And it's going to be a Talia for Daystar, so only adding further to the repertoire of his endless abundance of champions that he can play.
Absolutely correct. And I think that Talia actually makes a lot of sense here, right? You've got a lot of melee champions. You can completely zone off their entry with the minefield. Certainly look to try and displace them from the wombo combo setup as we saw in the last game, right? With Dire Wolves for the likes of Varus jumping in to start off the fight. The Jax there to complement the Chain of Corruptions, the set functioning in a similar way, you'd say, to the Alistair and grouping them up as well. Layering tons of CC when everybody goes for the throat. So I am... pretty glued in on this one. This is a pretty exciting matchup.
Certainly is. Now, I feel like a lot of the volatility is going to... I mean, the obvious point of jungle needs to be brought up, but a lot of the volatility comes through that bottom lane once again, where we see Caitlyn Lux, we see Varus Karma, kill threat, push heavy, damage heavy lanes, roaming style mids. I feel like Set's more of a nullifying mid, but does love a good team fight. And of course, has seen an Ornn on the opposing side that he can use as an ult platform and a springboard to deal a whole lot of damage when he throws that ult down. There is definitely a high chance that when these fights break out early, they all rotate towards the bottom side of the map, which isolates Jax to have the time of his life. But before we get there, Elise can gank everywhere, Rengar can gank everywhere. It's a hard life to be a squishy champion with a Rengar on the board.
Nowhere is safe, that is for certain. And with 2 heavy pushing bot lanes, you can definitely bank your house, bank your bets that they're going to be fairly interested in rushing it down to the bot lane pronto. Level 3 ganks, or a free can't clear gank, certainly may be on the cards. Let's load into the Rift then for our second game to close out this round robin, and one with some fairly significant ramifications. As it stands, no tiebreakers, but a result here could really upset the balance, given we have so many interesting conundrums of this team has a head-to-head, this team has beaten them, and we have a situation where really the top 4 is completely dependent on this matchup tonight.
Looking very closely at where both of these teams are going to be starting early game, Skimmy, because a lot of the emphasis on where champions start, especially Elise, when they go for these ganks. Why not, of course, is someone that is an Elise player, understands the creativity that can come from the pick, but that doesn't mean you can counter it. That doesn't mean you can really plan for it. They tend to be able to do the unexpected. And of course, Elise very good at diving lanes, playing for dives, and actually ganking pushed lanes in. Changes the dynamic of where people want to stand and how they want to counter. There's been mind control. Elise gets picked, and people just get mind controlled into playing safer, thinking it's going to their lane. This time around, it is a Jax and it is a Set that they're going to be playing towards. Jax has some gank setup, Set has some gank setup as well. Would love to flash for that one though, Dongy. Bot lane already a lot of heavy damage sent into the hands of Benvi.
So a quick fun fact that I've just found out here, Rusty. The last time Set was played was done by Lived as well as Winterer back in 2022 Split 2. Nearly been a full 12 months since we've last seen this champion, so it's almost poetic that it's those two that are featured in its return.
Also going to have my eyes peeled here for the item build of Why Not, because it feels like, you know, a quick search up. This is not a standard rune keystone that we see from Rengar, usually First Strike or the Conqueror. I wonder if this is because he sees a possibility to deal more damage with getting lethal tempo actually stacked up. And also is usually the domination tree secondary, so it has bucked the trend. Why Not about to find an Elise?
Yeah, going to face check an Elise and maybe feel worse for wear. Pouncing into the bush. Gonna look to try and regen that in a second. There it is, but very low. Finds his angle. Flash on his head. Can't find the kill though. First blood for Violet as the Varus limps away.
What this does mean for Team Bliss is that Violet has to go back to base. Both summoner spells are going to be missing, but he gets a kill, so that base is going to be a very good item purchase. Chippy's actually roaming mid here, Skimmy. He's going to gank himself.
He certainly is. Flash for Flash.
Wow.
Instantly respecting that one. Taking any chances.
And I will say this is one of those situations where I was just highlighting the keystone rune possibilities for Rengar. And I know Why Not has an answer for everything, so he will have a reason for this. But if one of the other options is a First Strike or a Conqueror, there's a chance he did more damage in that. Unfortunately for him, just goes awry. Violet now, level 2, has got a Tear and a longsword off that reset. Also has a Shurnfire sitting in his backpack as well. As he resets straight to bottom. Would you believe it? Jungle is very close to seeing each other again. Shurnfire saw that Scuttle Crab move, so he knows that the Rengar is nearby.
Yep, he's dodged vision beautifully there, as the observers have highlighted. So he's in behind enemy lines, still not going to be spotted, still scouting out where this Rengar could be.
Used.
Easy smite denied. It's caught in the web, missed the cocoon, goes into spider form, looks to try and take the 1v1, but it will be inline track here for Bliss. If they decide to try and make matters worse here, Dongy's still trying to cut off the angle, dodge out the damage, and turn right back around.
Benvi unable to hit a single skill shot there as he's just being handled like it's nothing. Lima's going to be farming pretty casually under the turret here as well, and Shurnfire uses the information that he gathered from that Scuttle Crab that he saw go down, steals away a Wolf Camp with a good smite, and is able to cross back over to top side and collect himself a crab of his own. Top has been farming pretty casually, but if you consider that it is even in CS and Chippy's also ganked mid, that is very favourable for Pensnet overall because the Forces Daystar's Flash, who also has gone for that First Strike build, trying to maximize the success in this lane against a melee character, will be able to make a whole lot of money, you would think.
Certainly hope so.
One of the reasons First Strike doesn't work, Skimmy, is if they deal damage before you can actually get that proc off. You actually get nothing from it.
Yep, all you get is a few tears on your cheek because you're very upset. Lived managing to cheat things a little bit here, having already got himself a Bramble Vest in lane to keep Chippies at bay. Not going to feel too punished by this one. Still do have their TPs available, so can just go right back to base and match it with a Sheen.
Wondering if Violet goes back to base here as well after this wave crashes in, just to get another free reset off, cheat that recall. With the way the lane's gone for him, it does make sense to go for it now, especially with this lethality iteration of a build. Serrated Dirk, such a powerful spike timing. Caitlyn on the other side, like highlighted, will go for the cleanse. We'll just be able to survive most gank attempts as a result of having that ability up until maybe Varus hitting level 6, where there's a little bit more crowd control that can be overwhelming. But he's gone for the Vamp Scepter himself, right? So Lima said, this is not going to be the easiest lane. We're going to take some poke.
Yeah.
Let's sustain through.
It's a build that we've already seen, right? Played by Raze, who rushed the Bloodthirster into a lot of poke. Just needed to really sustain himself in lane. We've seen a whole host of different builds, and especially on a new patch. You could even add another one into the mix of that.
Violet reveals himself in bottom. Rengar hovering makes you wonder if he's looking for a gank or counter gank. The way the wave is set up, he's waiting for this next lot of melees to die before he can even push forwards.
Benvi in trouble. Teva connects. Thankfully for him, Vision is lost, but Vision is found once again. Benvi ignited and just sniped. And you can see from his reaction there, just feeling dejected.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been a tragic game so far from this Lux. Haven't seen skill shots connect at all. Not sure how much gold he's honestly generated from this Lux. From the Spell Thief's item. Bit of a roughie thus far. Lima's still farming, so all things considered it could be worse, but a Lux that feels like she's behind in tempo, behind in gold generation, behind in items then, suffers a lot.
Certainly does. The threat is nowhere near as imposing as you'd really hope for otherwise. As Dongy's just going to staunch out. Why not in the river there? Saying that skull doesn't belong to you. Buy some time for Schönfire to come in and steal that one right underneath their nose.
Lived running himself a little bit low on mana here as well. Chippies is going to force a trade onto him just to see if he can exhaust that mana pool. He absolutely does so. Of course, Liv not having that teleport means that that's a little bit of a rough situation, but some cookies might help him get through it.
Certainly can. Does have the Unsealed Spellbook, right? So switch that through to Ignite. So if mana allows it, certainly some kill pressure available.
So he purchases Kindle Gem. Ornn won't be dying anytime soon, but he certainly won't be dealing too much damage if his mana stays that low. Why not hitting 6 is going to be a breakpoint that we have to keep our eyes peeled for. It's not the same as a Nocturne ultimate where he just comes in and someone instantly dies with the lights off, but can have quite a big impact as he does crest over that mark. Schönfire being 6, congrats, he got a little bit extra damage and another spider.
Just going to poke his head into the mid lane here, help Dongy be freed up to roam with him. As you say, level 6. Big moment now. Unlock them to be free to roam and maybe find an opportunity.
We got scared bodies as well. They are just going for a recall because it's the one thing they can afford to do. Lane control, lane dominance by Pentanet more than anything else. All of their vision placed in the lane itself. They're not going into the river. They're not messing with it. And Schönfire just trying to use Dongy to get around the map. 79% of you believe. Pentanet as well.
Yeah. I think I would have given him about 35%. I think I was in a similar vein to yourself.
Yeah, I just feel like the volatility of the early game. Like, imagine that first skirmish was a 2-0 for Bliss.
Precisely.
This
right?
could be a different battlefield completely.
Given that we have seen when PGG's early game doesn't go their way, certainly mid-game becomes that much more interesting, but at the same time, given that these two teams have been all about the early game, it's been curious to see how things have panned out thus far. 10 minutes in, not a dragon even considered, as Schön's going to make moves towards this Herald.
Couple of plates taken bottom though, which is really nice to have for Limas and Benvi. It's a bit of time down there spent farming. Benvi must be close to 6. Would love to have a laser to secure a one-hit combo with a Rengar jumping in. This wave gets it to him, so that Q connects, maybe there's a kill threat, but I'm just going to respect that. I'm just going to sit back at the turret.
Yep, there is the final spark. That's a lot of damage onto Appy. Instantly backed away. Could be very dicey now to try and start things up with a tether or even an ignite to help out. Schönfire was resetting and palving down bot side to match.
Why not fully aware as well though, right? So whatever happens here, if it starts with Appy having 0 HP and Violet poke down, the counter could be powerful. Schönfire is revealed. Why not? We'll see to that one at the very least, and Daystar's here.
Yeah, the kill's gone though. Why Not's going to burn his ult to go to this dragon. All the mana has been expended off their bot lane just to try and zone away PGG. And Schönfire's time has been commanded.
It's a 2-0 Varus with a Ghost Blade that can very easily get pushed out by the power of this bot lane duo, right? Caitlyn Lux is just that dangerous. It is one of those lanes, it is one of those matchups where you aren't afforded the luxury of a mistake because they punish you so hard for the smallest positional error. You accidentally walk onto a Caitlyn trap, bang, Lux Q follows through. Lux hits a Q, there's a Caitlyn trap. They've just got so many ways to control the lane. But even if you're feeling strong, you don't get to do too much. However, having a turret with plates on it is still a pretty big win if it's been an isolated lane. Because when you go towards mid lane and try and break structures, you've got a safety point down bot lane for that person who has to go down there. And if that is Dongy, then he should be perfectly fine.
On the roam once again, looking to try and clear out some vision, scout out what could be up and available, get a bit of insight as to where Schönfire may be moving towards next. Just a gentleman's agreement really to trade out Raptors. Benvy returns down to the bot lane. We're on here, Rusty. That's the call of the Forge God. That does cancel the jump to the ward. As the ignite goes out as well. Not enough to get the kill, as a flash had to be burnt after.
Why not escorted out of the area by the Pentanet security? Is Dongy going to give a whole chunk of money over to Daystar with that first strike combo, but top winning that skirmish really valuable for the side of Bliss. Gets a free base off for the Ornn at the very least, right? Able to stay in lane and continue to farm quite nicely after that. Chippy's
there it is.
Hold up. Schönfire finds himself a combo straight in the noggin.
That was even without the trap, I believe. So, they're not interested in your KDA or your item spikes. They get a moment like that, they will just do damage. Esme, why not right now? He's on the hunt. Maybe just a little bit too far out of reach now.
Rengar Ultimate is also one of those abilities that just provides a wealth of information more than anything else. You know, like you know someone's low HP, you pop ult. If you find them, that's awesome. If you don't, it is what it is. Chippy's, I think by pressing E, they're actually soft ints himself. Because it was quite simply Lived who finds a CC chain after the E connects. It's going to guarantee damage onto him and a turret aggro. But never the matter. We look bot lane. He knew a Rengar wasn't going to be up there. Herald summon.
Instant easy summon. That's going to force Daystar to come down and match and make sure nothing else substantiates from this. But all they're interested in is just a quick summon, a quick injection of gold, and 2 plates remaining now. Good timing with us cresting over to 14 minutes.
Ooh, Why Not was hunting for that jump over the wall. Benvy just chucks a laser out to keep him humble. Get out of our swamp. The other thing here, we can't see it right now, but every time we look mid, Doggy's been dealt with. The tier Taliyah just pushing in, harassing constantly. Seems like Daystar must have made a fair chunk of money off him, honestly.
You'd have to imagine so. Certainly with the most farm in the game. But is being matched by Dongy, only 5 behind, which is always impressive in a melee versus range matchup. Let's check in with that overall gold. As you can see that, by around 400 to 500.
Yeah,
Leandries comes out at 14 minutes.
With boots too, and a tier, so it is a relatively short order for sure. Dongy, who is only about 4 to 5 CS down, doesn't have that mythic completed yet. There's obviously a chunk of gold behind, so far so good. Benvy.
Benvy's in a lot of trouble right now. He has to flash at the last moment. Had to be really confident in his ability to go over that wall too. One of the easier ones for sure. Schönfire is going to bully him out.
Yeah. Perhaps he just felt safe because he did have that control ward there, but he's also going to use the laser now to try and thin out the bot wave. I don't know what he actually hit in that wave, though. So many minions still alive. The turret will drop. Grumpy blue buff will grumble back towards his pit. Really was grumbling.
Wasn't happy.
Towers secured and Skimmy. We've got the Drake up in under a minute. Certainly something that these teams will want to play towards. Would like to see a bit of activity from these mid laners when it comes to a skirmish. So right now it feels like Rengar ults bottom, doesn't use it, but ults bottom and lets them get a trade, and that's really the play. How annoying.
Yeah, really
You did
annoying.
blind set for what it's worth, but how annoying.
Even through the Haymaker shield, it's just not enough to weather the peppering of rock shards.
And is that not just a free Drake, you know? Like, if you're not careful, if there's no honey fruit or something, then it does feel like it's just going to be a free Drake. Pentsnet very clearly not actually contesting the Drake, just Appy who decides to have a go by himself. And if they knew he was alone, that Karma is dead.
They're not interested whatsoever.
Yeah, because the rest of his team's not here.
Yeah, Dongy's gone top, Schönfire's here, there's no TP for the set, so that is a free dragon. As easy as you like it. That'll be 2 now stacked up, and I think a big component will be the item spike timings, right? You see 3 mythic items complete there for Bliss. Despite PGG being up gold as a whole, don't have the power in hand to match.
Verisol.
Oh no, Benvi has been CC'd by himself, casting an ult, and ultimately falling on down.
Whoa.
There's another one, as Schönfire can repel to safety. And the Dragon trade has gone a little bit horribly there. You've now got yourself a Herald, an open mid-turret down to 50%.
Surely Why Not doesn't jump here. Lived nearby, however. Doesn't seem like there is something they're going to commit themselves towards. Just protecting Daystar as he clears this wave out. And just like that, Limas, I mean, had the cleanse, had the Gale Force, had the flash, does just die. That raises a couple question marks. We didn't even jinx him this time. But Pensinet will get the pick that they're after. Quite simply, Violet finds his ankle, presses ult, locks down Benvi, who is having a real rough game. Very rough one.
Look how respective Appy is of the amount of CC that Bliss have, right? The instant purchase of the Crucible. Give him that third summoner to utilize. And make sure situations like that in mid lane where you are potentially getting pounced upon, it is always an advantage for yourself.
Teleport actually comes through from Chippy's Why Not hovering Daystar on this side of the map, really trying to make sure that his mid laner continues to farm and feels as strong as he possibly can. Does get the jump off.
Damage is
combo.
there. That's a beautiful shove, and that is enough to get the kill. Well executed there.
Violet.
Really cuts off the angle as Violet, ooh, at the final hour, flashing and surviving. Look at the shield. Everything chucked at him, but still able to walk away.
Why Not ulting?
Why Not as keen? He's definitely diving this turret. There's the flash, and there's the pounce. He wants a second. He's overcommitted, but Schönfire says no. The
Ooh,
cocoon
Schön.
stuck underneath that one. In comes the Weaver's Wall. And the flash to walk away, and ooh, ever so close to that
Doggy's
seismic
turn.
shove. Everybody says, let's have a crack. Oh, the slam jam.
Just absolutely dunked. And another kill comes through, and as the dust settles, people dead left, right, and center. Daystar, Why Not gone? Schönfire low, yes. Appy low, yes, but it's only Violet that falls. Watch this one more time. Violet hunting Benvi. He just sees blood in the water. He's just, all he's seeing is a kill. Throws the ult out, but the second he does, surprise, there's a Kate ult, there's an Ornn ultimate to come through. Cops a laser to the noggin. This is where Rengar will just come in and try and make the play. Limas, Lived, and Benvi going to push the wave in, play aggressively, looking for the structure as well. And you know what? For what it's worth, yeah, it's a little bit deep, but it's a 1-for-1, could be 2. You know, you take those all day if you are, why not? Daystar comes in, looks for the play, but doesn't find the shove. Instead gets shoved back under the turret for his sins. And will go down. So close to being really good for Bliss. Ends up still being decent for Pensinet.
A lot of flashes, though, having to be used in that exchange, and that could spell disaster for the upcoming fight. There's no doubt Bliss to be really interested in going for that next dragon. Another flash as Daystar's forced to disengage away. As we continue to fight around in the mid lane. Damage denied, stasis effect cancels.
Churnfire.
Arrow misses, Cocoon is there, and why not? Really just going to shrug things off.
Why not perfectly fine is just going to jump to a ward, stack up the passive, jump everywhere, classic cat tech. I enjoy Rengar and Blast Cones. That is my favorite interaction in the game, and I wonder how that feels now with the Chemtech Rift. Because you get launched. That must be very satisfying. Maybe that's where Rengar comes back. Just feel-good moment.
Trampoline gaming.
Herald summon topside. Something that Pensinet were afforded earlier, and it should just one-hit the turret. Liv should know this and back away.
Oh, he's been mind controlled.
Herald! Herald, what are you doing?
Herald, please. Chippy says to come in and say, hey, go left, not right. Otherwise, we're looking at the fight again in mid lane. Suplex onto Why Not. Splash damage onto his team. Why Not in trouble. Doesn't cop the true damage of the Haymaker, though. As the turret does eventually fall topside. We're still, though, skirmishing here. But not enough to get a killing blow.
If the Lux Q connects, that probably is a kill there. I mean, we check in back top. Herald finally worked its life out. Got itself sorted. Found the charge. Turret drops. Chippies gets a second charge confirmed onto the second one. I feel like we're watching Bliss so close to finding their success, so close to finding their angles, you know, that the moments exist, but they just can't capitalize. They just can't convert opportunities into gold. And so Pensinet continue to find smaller and smaller advantages that incrementally add up to being insurmountable. But Drake now, and it is the third Drake. Team Bliss are committed.
This is the one you want to contest. Trap, binding, laser, and Schönfire down to 50. The dragon is gone. That's the third. That's a three-man face break into a true damage Haymaker. Benvi deleted. Never stood a chance. And it should just be a disengage away from that, but by God, did they do damage.
But look, the dust will settle and it will just be one kill for the third Drake. Bliss have got themselves the opportunity of an Ocean Soul. And Violet, Schönfire all chunked out low enough that going for the Baron's not something that you'd realistically consider here. Especially with Team Bliss very cognizant of their positioning and where they are on the map. Tragic that the Lux dies again. Tragic that the Flash had to be used. The biggest loss as well is Limas not having that cleanse anymore. If another fight were to happen, Varus ultimate, Elise Cocoon now going to be very viable choices. And Dongi did find a great face breaker. Not face maker.
I wonder what that would look like.
Just be playing The Sims.
You like the face app? Celebrity face swap?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Something like that. Also has Radiant Virtue.
Yeah.
Didn't actually look at his items until this moment.
Been sitting on the Aegis for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Ultimate decides to go for that, matching that with the Ornn. It's got the upgraded version.
It really is just that strong, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rengar ult.
On
Chippy's
the pounce.
in hot water.
Chippy's knows he's in trouble. Ghost is ready to be rocking and rolling as the Weaver's Wall from Daystar pops into action, jumps off, and, well, you're going to get knocked into my mind. An easy kill for them. Why not, though? Going to go 1-for-1 into Schönfire. Gets slammed into the wall, flashing over.
Oh, the flick.
And look at the flick. Look at the flick. If everything is a double kill comes across, it's an absolute bait by Bliss, and it's worked out phenomenally well.
And chasing Schönfire, you can see the Caitlyn ultimate's going to come through. Violet is in the area. Baron is dangerous. Why not already one hit? They're going to commit themselves to this one. I don't think Pensinet will let it go quietly. But it's so low already.
It's coming to hill, burnt. Schönfire instant repel down. Comes onto Limas, looking to try and 1v1 and gets him. The Baron is still there at 3,000 HP. Why not? Is ever so low. A binding, he's flashed away.
Daystar's dead. Benvi's dead.
Lived in trouble. Why not surviving? Double kill for Violet. He's just a melee range. Why not gets it, but he's going to die for it. I don't think anybody's going to have the buff left intact at this point. Oh my God, Violet just gets burned alive in the oven.
But tank things. It does seem like Schönfire is just going to chase this one down. That Spider will confirm it, if not the Q prior. Ace there for Pensinet.gg. At the cost of a Baron still being taken away, something that they can't look towards. Watch this again. Limas, unfortunately, tries to be a hero. Doesn't play in the pit. Cocoon misses, stay in the pit. Just burn the Baron. You are the DPS, but if Gale forces forwards, he then flashes to try and confirm the kill. And just into the waiting arms of a Spider who just pounces like it's nothing. Violet, exceptional flash. perfect positioning now that the Caitlyn is gone. And yes, they get the Baron. The cost, however, is everyone's lives. And this is just a moment that Limas, rent-free in his head, unfortunately, will watch this one back and think, why did I do that? Why did he do that?
This is one of those moments that have plagued Bliss. We said it going into this game. Those big, decisive team fights have been their undoing at the best of times. Is that the changing moment in this match? As PGG, despite being down a Baron, that has no effect. And despite being down 3 subsequent Dragons, find themselves up by 4,000 gold.
What it does mean is that the Baron ultimately nets nothing for Bliss but a bit of money. 300 each into their pockets. And no minion control. I think more than anything else, the ability to push out a side lane, stop the Jax from split pushing would have been wonderful for them. And now that we're looking at a full soul to be threatened by them, you know, Pensinet feeling stronger will start to group up as 5. They will contest this at all costs. They'll get there earlier. It's up in a minute. They're already there. Bliss aren't contesting right now. They're on the opposite side of the map.
Well, Bliss have their eyes firmly set on this next Dragon. That would be Soul Point, an Ocean Soul Point at just that. How phenomenal that would be. 3 ornaments have now been completed. Level 16 just cresting over for Daystar in the mid lane as well. They are hitting those breakpoints. But can they find the opportunity to go for the Dragon? Right now, interested in the side lanes.
Why not just stacking up that Rengar passive? Was kind of waiting around to see if anyone would come and deal with Daystar. The answer was no. And because they're not going to be contesting the Drake, it does stand to reason they want to get some standing gold. Consider it was a 4,000 gold difference, but Daystar gets a full wave to himself, gets a full 2 waves to himself. They'll break a turret, and they'll bring Dongy back to the area. Brings the gold difference down from 4 to 3, which you cannot really complain about. Lots of money into the pockets over their mid laner, second on the total gold scoreboard. But it must be said, 2 games in, Skimmy, 2 Varus is going absolutely crazy.
Certainly is. I'm really enjoying the Varus. I think this really is the preference of the 2. Be a hot minute, I think, until we start to see the return of the Rageblade Wits End Varus.
We've seen a couple of them, but not in the LCO.
I mean, the lethality is just doing a little bit too much, isn't it?
There's definitely games where it is good, but again, I don't think we've seen it. Hold that thought, though, Violet. Speaking
oh
of
no,
Varus,
Violet has just been
we had to
CC'd
say
into
it.
Narnia.
We had to say it.
We have the power.
Honestly, Violet, my bad.
We have the power.
We'll be better.
Limas is like, yeah, cheers, mate. Thanks for not talking about me this time.
It's because we compared him to Praetor, who played well on the Varus in the last game, isn't it? The curse is so powerful, they're bringing up another Varus player who dies in mid.
I don't know how we keep getting away with it, quite honestly. There's too much power for 2 people to share on a broadcast.
It's very true. Mikhail's also done from Appy on his Karma, so the Lux doesn't have a free way to just hit a binding and set them up anymore. And really, because that is the one major point of threat other than a Talia flick and an Ornn ultimate, that removes a lot of the pick potential that exists for Team Bliss. Now a little bit more reliant on finding damage after that one, as we didn't highlight this yet, but why not? Going for the Divine Sunder into the Anathemas Chains is much more of a tank Rengar build. Wants to be sticky, wants to stay on top of his target that he chooses. As far as I can tell, hang on.
Look at this. Has the flash, beautiful flash at just that, dodging literally everything. It was a Michael Bay movie. Lasers coming from every different angle. The pyrotechnics just going off.
3 times now, Chippies has suffered. Every single time they find a pick, it is onto Chippies. Constantly caught out of position in this game, something that's really a thorn in the side of Pensinet.
Yeah, a bit of a horror maze there for him as he's trying to navigate the side lane pressure. But everything really, and the kitchen sink, as you'd say, is thrown at him. Nets him the kill, which is what you need, and the Jack's behind. Certainly not the scariest prospect.
The timing of this pick, however, does mean that he'll be up for the Baron if it were to be started. It seems like Bliss are just going to use this for vision. See if they can get some control of the area. Maybe they retain a flank ward, maybe they retain a deep ward. You can see that PGG have pushed past one ward already. Maybe just going to put some damage down. So there is a teleport flank angle that exists currently for the Ornn. Right there on the left of your screen.
That's the one.
But I think more than that, he's just going to be playing mid first. He is the tank of the squad. He is the one that has to face check all of the bushes. No one else can really afford to do that. Why Not's going to face check by pressing ult. Confirm there's no one in the red side quadrant. They are in fact all in the river. There's a good bit of information and intel that he has gathered. Baron gets started.
Dongy going to be the one to receive the damage at the moment, just playing on the side, making sure that if you
Look
do
at the
step
flash
up,
E from
there is
Dongy.
going to be a showstopper on your head. The Baron's still engaged. Down at 50%, you would not want to flip this one, that's for certain.
Teleport coming through. That's a huge flank angle if it's successful. Chippy's undetected.
Undetected, lived as caught, has been spotted, buries it out. As the seismic shove doesn't achieve anything. It's a one-man ult. That's going to be bellow breathed out of. Completely cancelling the animation.
The ability's thrown back and forth here, but it's just going on to Liv. It's just going on to the tank. Why Not can heal all of that poke back up. Something that Schernfire cannot do. Appy started the flick.
Oh, look at the flick of that one there, Rusty. Dongy in trouble. Haymaker shield buys him a bit of time. Lemus now regroups for the team. Right here, suplex onto free, splash damage galore, but dead mid-flight. Shut down there, double for Daystar, coming into a form of his own. As Why Not is now looking to try and isolate out a straggler. Which target does he go for? It's a squishy karma, but a shield that says maybe not the target I'm after.
Chooses this time not to go for a 1-for-1. Doesn't want to overforce, doesn't want to do anything crazy. Sight set straight on the Baron. Keep in mind after this Baron, there is a Drake up very soon. Team Bliss instantly recall, deploy towards the Drake pit, get themselves an Ocean Soul if they can. Teleport's going to come through straight away here, Skimmy. Ball in the court for Pentanet. How do they play this one out with a jungler dead? I don't think you can fight with your jungler and mid gone. And due diligence paid by Team Bliss as they get themselves to the Drake pit. The only way to steal, I think, is a Varus Q, but he doesn't want a lick of it.
Violet wishing he was playing old Jinx at this point, right? Chucks out the ult, splash damage, steals it away. Not to be the case. Let's run it back with this, because it all starts off with a beautiful engage.
Daystar just finds an angle, finds a possibility. He's on vision, but they're just not going to be able to dodge out in time. Busy dealing with the Lux, sight sets on someone else. Daystar will have to flash away here. Big ult. Liv pushing them in towards Daystar, but there's no instant W follow-up there from Dongy, as unfortunately that was already used, and Why Not? Just waiting for the opportunity to jump over the wall, just couldn't fight it in time.
Fancy a treat?
That Sundara has been upgraded.
Every item has been upgraded to become an ornament now.
Have you heard that one, by the way? Deicide?
Deicide, I was curious to see the pronunciation.
It's one of the few ornaments that I do remember, because Divine Sundara is taking out someone divine. Deicide is killing a deity.
Oh, okay. Well, we're taking out Schönfire right now. Looking to squash him like a bug, and that's exactly what's happened. Dead and gone, and that's at a really crucial time now because Rusty Bliss have a Baron buff and a massive amount of siege.
Bliss certainly knocking on the door right now. The front gates have been kicked wide open. Schönfire gone. They will back away. Chippy's going to try and escort them out a little bit just by using that counter-strike, but with Baron in hand with an Ocean Soul secured. Team Bliss have turned this game on its head. And it all starts with finding a pick onto Chippies that turns into a skirmish that happens in the river. And we're not seeing any value from this set or this Jax yet. And this Elise pick is not necessarily known as a scaling option. I think does scale actually quite well when the rest of your team is physical damage, right? The Soul Magic can go the Shadow Flame build. But it doesn't feel like a champion that I think of when I think late game, right? The Ornn started to ramp up for the rest of the team of the Bliss roster. They were 3k down, 3 ornaments. It's actually an even game, and it just came to a skill matchup. And Daystar was clutch.
It certainly feels like they're up by 5k, taking into consideration those items as well as the soul point too. Weren't able to really get much more value out of that Baron shove as they had invested all their resources and time into the mid lane. Top and bot were far against them. So it's a reset into attending those lanes now, into us really farming late into the game for potentially just back-to-back bangers, 40-minute banners.
Yeah, I feel like roughly the actual value for Bliss is about 8,000 gold ahead. And while they're sitting on about 4, I'd say they're closer to 8,000 gold in the lead with all of the effective buffs that they have.
Sure.
Pensinet sitting in bushes, seeing if they can find someone. Lived if he rotates from mid to bottom. Could be a target. I don't think he dies very easily, but he could be a target. That or they see him mid, they look for plays elsewhere on the map. Fire, lucky to be alive after that Q. He's not just playing with fire, he is eating it.
What can Pensinet do? How can they absorb all this pressure and project it right back at their opposition? They need to attend the mid lane. Super's passively looking to end the game themselves right there. Chippy's forced to respond. Another 4 locked in bot lane.
But that is exactly the question, Skimmy. What can Pensinet do? What can this composition achieve when behind Ornn Ultimate comes in? Gonna dissuade them entirely.
That's enough to zone them away to guarantee another turret crumbles. Turret number 7 in favor of Bliss now. If that's not enough to break open the front door, then we may just be playing one of those dances where you're waiting for supers to trickle on into the base, and that's your highway to pick up the next Baron, potentially another Elder.
Yeah, I do think that next Baron's going to be the thing that Bliss commit themselves towards. Top lane inhibitor could also come down quite nicely with that one, but realistically right now Pensinet can weather this perfectly fine. It's only one inhibitor, it's only mid lane that's gone, so Varus can smash waves, Elise can also smash super minions. So it should be perfectly fine. Again, star of the show for me is the fact that Daystar is 6-2-4. Has had a profound impact on this game, and Chippies has also had a profound impact on this game, but not in the way that he would like.
No. Very different performance to yesterday. Not one he'll be too happy about, and really has copped a lot of attention going against him. That's def number 4 now. Unable to unlock any real pressure in these side lanes, which they're really craving.
EMS 024 with the shutdown, by the way.
Just Caitlyn things.
My man's is flourishing. Just been farming. Had a cheeky into the Baron. Doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. Daystar, they'll find that pick bot lane, knows where he's meant to be, and suddenly pushing bot lane seems like an all-too-free option for Team Bliss. How do Pensinet respond at all? I don't think they can, and Baron just comes free after. If not, pushing a little bit further, trying to abuse your Caitlyn Lux to threaten picks in a game.
Oh no, Schoenfeld gone. Dead for a whole minute, and Baron has just spawned. What an unfortunate time for it to happen now in a 4v5, surely. Even a 3v5, mind you, because Chippies is still gone. They've got to defend the base with their lives. In they go. They're going to try as they might. Why not says, I don't care about the fight. I just want to win the game, and win the game they do. And I tell you what, is this a day of upsets, Rusty? We don't have tiebreakers, but boy, does this change the standings.
And I'm going to tell you this right now, with Bliss beating Pensinet, with a team that was on the outskirts of the top 4, that have called themselves Scrim Gods, to be certain, that haven't been able to replicate it on stage. I think the first time we've seen from them actually showing Scrim results on stage.
Yeah.
Not all talk anymore. They're able to beat Pensinet. Top 5 teams? We have 5 teams now? Is the league 5 teams?
I honestly don't understand anymore, because you've got this rock, paper, scissors argument. They beat them, doesn't even make sense, because we're just seeing everybody beat everybody. And going into that game, you're thinking if Pensinet win, they get first seed. Now, assuming that Chiefs beat Kanga, they're looking at 4th.
Or was it the big brain? They're just dodging the group of death. They just want the easy run to playoffs. Who knows, huh? Theories, conspiracies, they're all there. Either way, look, that game, very interesting one to watch. There was some crazy things going on. I thought it was PGG, all stonks rising. Towards that mid-game, they were making all the right decisions. But then, yeah, it just all went wrong. Well, I guess it all went right for Bliss. Yeah, they might have all died when they got that first Baron, but they did it for a statement, right? They inset fear into the hearts of PGG, and then from there, something started going wrong for PGG.
This is the tragic, one of the Barons was that tragic 0 for 5 trade, and no one ended up getting the major objective. But of course, the picks that Team Bliss was able to make onto PG, on Violet, onto Chippies throughout the entire game, where they just won the game, honestly, through picks, and how PGG just trickled later on into the game, and this Elise is just not able to have the same impact compared to all these ornaments coming through from the side of Team Bliss. Of course, Benvi had a really rough game, but he was still landing some of the really nice bindings later on in these team fights. And I just think when you're the only source of damage like the Varus up against something like the Ornn, it's just terrible to play.
Hey, hey, old mate, chilling in the back, huh?
That's
Stop distracting Benvi. That was what was going on in those couple of little hiccups at the start of the game. Yeah, big damage coming through from Daystar, and arguably one of the more important games we've seen from him so far.
Yeah, I can't stop looking at that Jax damage. What a shame, because you picked this Jax to become that split-pushing maniac up against an Ornn, because Ornn obviously can't out-damage you in that 1v1 duel, but it just seems that he was getting picked off from the Talia and the Rengar global ultimates, and they were just able to shut Chibius down completely. Even going the Zhonya's build, we have seen Zhonya's on Jax quite often, because I believe it was introduced in the LPL by YSKM. I'm not too sure about that one. I need to check on that. But the whole theory behind it is that you would be able to put down your Counter-Strike, stun someone, and then your cooldowns will come up during the Zhonya's activation, and then you can do your combo once again. So it's kind of just like cheating the tempo through your combos. But of course, if you're playing a lot for the team fights up against an Ornn, I don't see it working out too well for you guys.
Yeah, well, you look Mega Tanks, Super Tanks. We've seen Lived play him all the time, and we've got him here to have a quick chit chat too as well. How you doing, big man? That's a huge W, huh?
was a pretty good game. Very proud of it.
Yeah, insane scenes. Now, you want to talk me through a couple of those team fights, what was going on, what the general vibe was from all of you when you finally got that first Baron, but you all just died. Like, what was there a couple of sires in the team chat? What's going on?
I think everyone was fine with it. I mean, Baron's off the map. I mean, the longer the game goes, better for us. So, I mean, it was fine.
Yeah, fine to the point where you guys ended up getting that double, of course, and I know Daystar also did wonders on that Talia pick, but I've been wanting to ask, so this is our first time seeing Rengar in competitive for a very, very long time, and even with the build, he bought the Anathema's chains, so walk us through why not decided to go with this champion?
I don't know if I can reveal these secrets. These are some draft secrets, so I think I might have to keep that on the down low, unfortunately.
And look, even if you tried, why not's brain? There's this depth to it, so you wouldn't be able to get to the point anyway. Like, I fully understand. You wouldn't even try. Try to brush it off as secrets, though. Now, I think this is going to put you guys a little bit higher. Is it third on the leaderboard? I think that locks you in at third on the leaderboard now with this win. So you're going to be in
the group of death. Yeah,
group of death, I think. Okay, depending on how the rest of the games go, but I don't think they influence the standings too much. It's just going to be like who's towards the bottom side. Now, going to the group stage, are you keen to get into the best of threes again?
Yeah, I think best of threes. I mean, it's been a long time since playing like a best of series. I think that's when like teams truly show what they're capable of. So I think we're very excited for that. We do pretty well in best of series from scrims. So I think it'll get pretty good for us.
I mean, today we're singing the Rengar from Wino. We don't know what we're expecting for that first debut game in the best of series, of course. Well, congratulations on securing third. I'm going to let you go and have you rest before our huge break, and we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Who let Why Not cook? And it worked.
Mate, it's the
Can't
best.
Stop Why Not cooking?
He's mowing, he's cooking, he's bloody many trades for a man with many angles that he's found throughout time, including draft. And it worked today. Either way, let's see if that translates into yet another one on MVP. I would be giving it to Daystar, but it's Dare MVP time. What do we got? It is Daystar. Big W. 92% KP, and starting to finally show what he's made of.
Did have a pocket Rengar, admittedly. Just like Kitty, maybe if he was feeling a little bit tilted, he just went and found his Why Not. And just buried his face in.
Mhm.
But no, did very well. I think in reality, the whole game kind of came down to that one big team fight in an even battlefield, even situation. He found a flick onto two of the most important members. Plays that happened top lane, right? Like we talked about the fact that Pensnet were getting caught the whole time. It was his side of the map that they were playing towards, and they made sure that their carry could carry this game.
And it's interesting as well because we get rid of one cat and then another arises. Like, that's what's going on. No more Yumi, but we're getting Rengar instead. Did the cat just evolve, Kitty? Like, what is this
Hold on.
whole process?
The cats are speaking.
Meow, meow, meow,
Meow, meow.
meow, meow, meow,
Meow.
meow, 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 meow.
Meow.
Do we need like subtitles?
Is there we have the
Is
subtitles
translated
ready?
text?
Where's the
Rengar said-
text to speech?
Meow, meow. Easy.
And on that note, we got a third match to get to. Perfect time for a break, ladies and gents. Just after this, go try to survive through that cringe. We got Mammoth and GZ.
Something that Schönfire cannot do. Appy started with the flick.
Oh, look at the flick of that one there, Rusty. Dongy in trouble. Haymaker shield buys him a bit of time. Lemus now regroups with the team. Right here, suplex onto free, splash damage galore, but dead mid-flight, shut down there, double for Daystar.